Coming up on Sunday Sports Day, boxing turns ugly again. Chaos reigns at the Chavez-Randall rematch. In Seattle, was that a sonic boom or a sonic thud? And speaking of thuds, the Bruins once again have a devil of a time in overtime, while the Rangers are forced to put away their brooms in Game 4. When did America's national game get rowdier than Canada's? We examine the reasons behind face brawl. The rise and fall of Darryl Strawberry, a case study in Too Much, Too Soon.
Young players become superstars early. I don't think today could be able to handle it.
And Phil Niekro leads this band of ball players who are in a league of their own.
And down the stretch they come!
Next on Sunday Sports Day.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines.
Good morning. I'm Dick Schaap, and welcome to Sunday Sports Day, May 8th, 1994. 2.5 hours of news, views, reviews, and previews, highlights and sidelights, cheers and jeers. It may be Mother's Day today, but form took a holiday yesterday. The Colt favorite to win the Kentucky Derby finished a dismal 12th, and the team favored to win the NBA championship was wiped out in the first round of the playoffs. Jack Edwards is ready to take us to our opening hour, Sports Weekly. And Jack, with Seattle eliminated and Atlanta on the brink, the Indiana Pacers and the Denver Nuggets are each only 8 victories away from the NBA Finals. Now, wouldn't that be a stunning matchup?
I'm sure they would just love that over at NBC Sports. But what, 5 of the remaining 9 teams have never even gotten to the NBA Finals.
And only 2 of the teams that are left have won an NBA Final, the Knicks and the Bulls, and one of those is going to be eliminated this week.
All right, Dick, we'll check in with you a little bit later. We're going to start today with boxing. Julio Cesar Chavez's career record can lose something in translation. It all depends who the interpreter is. If he or she knows boxing history, there will be a certain cynicism attached to the wins total. Chavez was in a rematch with Frankie Randall last night in Las Vegas. It was for the WBC super lightweight title. Randall with a big right, staggering Chavez. In the 8th round, Chavez, good combination, but Randall counters and looks very strong. 3 seconds left in the round, and there was an unintentional headbutt. Mills Lane was the referee who ended up stopping the bout.
If they score that round and take a point off, that really scrambles.
Position at ringside, Dr. Flip Pomansky advises Mills Lane to stop the contest. Chavez, the recipient of an unintentional headbutt. WBC rules state that round must be scored, and the giver of the unintentional headbutt, Frankie Randall, must have 1 point deducted, and then we go to the scorecards. In favor of the winner and new champion,
It was a nasty gash. It was from a clash of heads, but it was my impression that Julio did not want to continue with that gash. That was, when I looked at him, when I asked him, he shook his head twice to me.
He asked you to stop the fight.
He shook his head twice to me.
And you interpreted that as not wanting to continue.
Enough. That was enough, and the cut was a very bad cut.
And the doctor interpreted that as the end of Randall's championship reign. Randall was ahead on one American judge's card, even on American Dalby Shirley's, and down by 2 points on the Mexican judge's card. Then with the mandatory point deduction, he fell behind on Shirley's card, on which he had been even, and he lost the bout. Charlie Steiner and Al Bernstein knew how they would have scored it.
Once again, Al Bernstein, virtually every ringside observer had the other guy winning, in this case Frankie Randall, but the judges ruled in the favor of Julio Cesar Chavez.
Well, and you might make a case, I guess, for Ray Solis from Mexico scoring at 3 points for Chavez, nationalism being what it is. What's Dalby Shirley's excuse for scoring at 1 point for Chavez? This was a bad decision.
We got reaction from both fighters, and predictably Chavez was relatively happy, and most assuredly Frankie Randall was not.
This will happen. My head had to get there before his head did in the clash. But if it went to the scorecards, I won the fight. I won the fight very convincingly and very professionally.
When you heard the score, what was your reaction? What are your feelings?
Well, all I was waiting on the decision to come through. I knew I was going in this fight with a lot behind me. All I kept hearing was Chavez, 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 like he still was a champion. I feel like I was a champion going into the fight. I feel like I still am the champion. I stand strong by what I'm able to do, and I love my job, and I feel like if we fought again, it'd be the same thing. I'd win again.
Did you think you had won the fight at the time it was stopped?
Yeah, porque fue un cabezazo de arriba para abajo.
Yes, he says
La pelea iba sumamente pareja.
he feels that the fight was actually going quite even.
Yo iba a apretar ya del décimo en adelante donde iba a echar todo el resto.
He felt that he was going to really put his last push from the 10th round on.
Pero Randa se merece otra pelea.
But Randall deserves another fight.
Here in the Chavez locker room, there is an overwhelming sense that he would like to have at it with Frankie Randall one more time. Al Bernstein, what was your sense of what went on in there?
Well, you know, I would say it's one of the top 5 travesties I've seen in the sport, and I seldom use phrases like that. Number one, Frankie Randall won the fight by at least 3 points. And number two, I think there was a lot of confusion on the part of why this fight was stopped and whether, in fact, it was Julio Cesar Chavez saying, I don't want to go on, or whether the cut was really bad. I think that there's no question in my mind Frankie Randall retained his title tonight despite what happened in the ring.
This appears to be another one of those only in boxing stories. For Al Bernstein, Charlie Steiner, ESPN at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
Well, here's the undercard. The WBC Super Welterweight rematch went to the judges. Terry Norris regained his title by unanimous decision over Simon Brown. WBC middleweight champ Gerald McClellan kept his title with a first-round KO of Julian Jackson. And James Leha won the WBC Super Featherweight title by unanimous decision over Azuma Nelson. The seeds of rivalry are sown with contempt and heartbreak. Familiarity breeds contempt. And although the Denver Nuggets and Seattle Supersonics don't have a long history, those two teams got to know each other pretty well in their just concluded 5-game series. As for heartbreak, well, let's go to the Seattle Center Coliseum. Second half, the Sonics looking very strong. Detlef Schrempf double-teamed. Behind the back to Sean Kemp and an 11-point Seattle lead. But Robert Pack comes back. From three-point range, he nails it. Pack 3 for 5 from behind the arc. Takes the kick out from Brian Williams and hits it. 23 points for him. The Nuggets go up by 7. Kendall Gill comes back with authority, dunking. Tie game 86 apiece, 35 seconds to go. The Nuggets. What's the play? LaFonso Ellis with the shot clock running down, hits it, and the Nuggets are up by 2. Time for the Seattle Brain Trust to get it together. Gary Payton, 4 men on him, tosses it up. Kendall Gill's there. The game goes to overtime. $1.5 to go in the extra period. LaFonso Ellis nearly over the baseline, scoops it back up and in. Nuggets up by 2. Dikembe Mutombo was a gigantic presence. Kemp drives. Mutombo rejects it. 8 blocks on the night for Dikembe Mutombo. And in desperation time, he comes down with the ball, and the Nuggets go down in history. It is the first time in the NBA that an 8 seed has beaten a 1 seed. Dikembe Mutombo with 8 blocks totals 31 for the 5-game series. That's a league record. The Nuggets are the 5th team to come from 0-2 down to win in 5. So is a rivalry born? The Sonics locker room was Heartbreak Hotel.
What'd you ask me yesterday?
You win a game when you have no shot.
You throw it up and you play your butt off. That's how you win a game that you got no shot.
It's nobody didn't let themselves down, then ask us to say, guys, want to just go here fun. You know, there's nothing to lose here. This is our first playoff, and we're trying to have as much fun as we can. That's why we won this series. I think we got the extra fun.
Coming up a bit later, Mark Schwartz looks at how Seattle's dream season ended in nightmare. The haunting chant of 1940 was being replaced by the optimistic notion of 16 in the heads of Rangers fans in the last few days. The thought being that Manhattan's mighty hockey team not only could win its first Stanley Cup in 54 years, but that it could do it with 4 consecutive series sweeps. The Rangers had been playing superb hockey, not allowing more than 3 goals in their 7 previous playoff wins. Could they complete the sweep of the Washington Caps? Well, Dale Hunter was having a hard time of it in the first period. Down, down, and down again. But if you know Dale Hunter, you know he keeps popping up. And in the second period, he's on his feet, feeding Joey Juneau for the one-timer that beats Mike Richter in a 2-1 Caps lead. They go up 3-1. Sylvain Cote from the left point. A drive. Who's on the rebound? Todd Krieger's there. And the Caps are up 4-1. Mike Keenan plays no favorites. He yanks Richter. Jim Schoenfeld finally gets to laugh about it. Richter remains grim, but says he'll be ready for Game 5. Even though the Caps won, the Rangers demonstrated how much they can take over a game in the third period when they held Washington without a shot. 3 assists on the night for Sylvain Cote. Game 5 tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden. New Jersey at Boston with the Bruins up 2-1. John McClain to Bernie Nichols, and he scores to send this game to overtime. The next goal would mean the difference between a 3-1 Boston lead or a series tied at 2 games apiece. And who would be the hero? Stéphane Richer. Bobby Halik wins the faceoff, and Richer just takes off and flies by Don Sweeney, goes around and scores on the breakaway, and the Devils take it 5-4 in sudden death. The visiting team's been the winner in all 4 games in this series so far. If a playoff game goes to overtime, it is not good news for the Bruins. Last night's loss drops them to 36-53 all-time, the worst in the NHL. On the day before Mother's Day was to be celebrated all over the United States, it was Mother's Day in Louisville. For the first time since 1948, the track at Churchill Downs was rated sloppy for the Kentucky Derby. Instead of mint juleps, the happiest bettors decided to go for gin, saying, "Here's mud in your eye," to fading favorite Holy Bull, who never threatened.
And Brocco is beginning to close ground out in the middle of the racetrack. Brocco is flying along with Strode's Creek. Bloomin' Affair is next. And on the inside, Holy Bull is dropping back. Holy Bull is out of it. He's about 9th at this point. Now they're in the stretch. Go for Jim, who's led from the start, has the lead. He's drawing off by 2 with McCarron. On the inside, Brocco is second. Here comes Strode's Creek in the middle of the racetrack. And down the stretch they come. It's Go for Jim digging in and holding on. He is going to win the Kentucky Derby. Wire to wire.
Go for Gin, 5 wins, 3 seconds in 10 starts. He paid an eye-popping $20.20 to win and $8.40 and $5.80. If you had any of the horses in the money, you had to be smiling. All the payoffs were big returns. To the Diamond, where the Colorado Rockies had been getting off to anything but glittering beginnings. The Rockies had given up runs in the first inning. 9 of their previous 10 games going into last night's contest in San Diego, they'd get through the first cleanly. It was the 9th that provided the drama. At Jack Murphy Stadium, we pick it up 1-1 in the 9th. Phil Clark at the plate, pinch hitter. Bruce Ruffin is the pitcher, and that ball is going to go all the way to the wall. Ricky Gutierrez is going to try to score all the way from first. Dante Bichette to Andres Galarraga on the relay. The play at the plate, and he is safe, says Harry Wendelstedt before the ump goes down in a heap. Padres win it 2-1. Andres Galarraga's 8th inning homer gave him his first RBI of the month of May. He had a league record 30 runs batted in April. Padres' 5-game home winning streak is their longest since 1992. Toward the end of this hour of your Sunday Sports Day, a look at the circumstances which contributed to Darryl Strawberry's decline into substance abuse and what his future may hold. And we'll go back to the ball field next with more 9th inning drama. If you left the park early last night, all you missed was all the fun.
They speak it in England, France, and Germany. It sounds the same in the U.S. and Mexico as it does in Hong Kong and Tokyo. It's the international language of business. And wherever it's spoken, Delta Airlines can put you right in the middle of the conversation. And then we'll bring you back to that place where you don't have to say a word to be understood. Delta Airlines.
Has Saturday night lost its magic?
Honey, what do you say you and me dance, huh? Darling, you got real pretty hair. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?
You know, you just might want to stay in with HBO Saturday nights. It's a new movie never shown before on HBO. Every Saturday night, guaranteed.
I feel hotter than a rooster in a hen house.
Oh, boy. HBO Saturday nights.
Monroe Sensitrack, road sensing shocks and struts. Designed to give you extra control during a swerve. Extra control over rough roads. Monroe Sensitrack gives you both extra control and ride comfort automatically. Monroe Sensitrack, like 2 shocks in 1. Call 1-800-STRUT now for a Monroe Sensitrack dealer near you.
At this year's World Cup, every match will be big news. That's why the World Cup Committee turned to Sprint's global network. So now reporters at the games can instantly access information and send it to fans in 143 countries around the world, just as they see it.
A penalty! I can't believe it.
Buonissima. It's a deplorable decision. Of course, how they see it is another story.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly.
Late inning heroics all over the majors last night. It's 1-0 Montreal into the bottom of the ninth in Atlanta, and Jeff Fassero, who had been pitching beautifully, walks Dave Justice. They leave him in. Mark Lemke was 0 for 13 lifetime against Fassero until that two-run shot to win it for the Braves. Yankee Stadium. Jeff Russell of the Red Sox, bottom of the ninth, runners on first and second, 5-4 Red Sox. Don Mattingly, base hit to left. Luis Polonia scores and ties the game. Sacks packed. Randy Velarde flies to left. Lee Tinsley, what kind of an arm does he have? Gerald Williams tags, he's coming home. Lousy throw, the Yanks win it 6-5. North of the border, Skydome, bottom of the ninth. Brewers lead 2-1. Jeff Bronke on the hill. Domingo Cedena hits it to right. Pat Borders coming around. Here's the play at the plate, and he is. Did he touch it? Did he touch it? He's safe. Tied at 2. Then Paul Molitor, a grounder. Kevin Seitzer can't handle it. Devon White scores, and the Jays win it 3-2. National League on the West Coast at the stick. Dodgers and Giants. Jose Offerman goes deep against Mark Portugal, and that ties the game 2-2. Sends it to extra innings. Man on second. It's at man again. Offerman, this not quite so assertive, but that'll be a line drive in the box score, and the Dodgers win it 3-2. When we continue, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some of the biggest dreamers the game has ever known. Until this year, they really didn't have anything but a dream.
Crime is rampant in America. A car is stolen every 20 seconds. Police need your help. I'm Deputy Flack, and please, wherever you park your car, lock the club on the steering wheel to prevent your car from being stolen. The club is a tempered steel lock that's tough to defeat. Its high visibility deters thieves and makes them move to an easier target. The club is the best auto theft deterrent I've seen, and I recommend you use it. Accept no cheap imitations. Always ask for the club by name. And let's put auto thieves in their place.
Do you know me? You may not recognize me without my hair. I'm Cy Sperling, Hair Club's first client. And since 1968, I've helped thousands of men with thinning hair. If you have thinning hair, this booklet is something you should have. It covers transplants, weaving, fusion, minoxidil, and proper hair care. So call our toll-free number now to get your free booklet. You saw the difference it made for me, and look what it did for our clients. So call our toll-free number now to get your free booklet.
The world's greatest drivers gear up for the fastest, most prestigious race in the world, the Indy 500. Get daily reports on Indy Live, starting Monday only on ESPN. The Dodgers take on the Giants tonight on ESPN.
Think back to 1960. There were all those players with dreams and just 16 big league teams. Think how good you had to be on a relative scale to live out that dream. Now think, what if there was just one team? How good and how tough would you have to be? Jimmy Roberts reports on that very scenario.
On a spring morning in East Tennessee, a baseball team works out under the watchful eye of its coaching staff. It could be any team. It's not.
Come on, Joey.
At 13 locations last winter, some 1,200 women tried out for a golden opportunity, a roster spot on the Silver Bullets.
You're going to be number 609.
By springtime, 24 women had entered the men's world of professional baseball. Last month, they had their first exhibition outing, 3 innings against the Kansas City Royals AA team. Are the ladies any good? Well, ask one of the chicks, the Memphis Chicks.
I thought they were fundamentally sound, maybe a little physically overmatched, but I was impressed with them overall.
Or ask the Bullets manager, a man who won more than 300 games as a major league pitcher.
Can we catch the ball? Yes, we can catch the ball. Can we hit the ball? We can hit it.
We can throw the ball and we can run. Not as well as the guys in the AA and single A levels, no, the rookies, no, but I think you've got to realize that 2 months ago, Jimmy, just 2 months ago, these women never done this in their lifetime before.
Or if they had, Little League was just a distant memory.
I'm 24.
So you haven't really played organized baseball in how long?
Since I was 9.
Maybe someday they'll have a league of their own. But for now, competition consists of a 50-game schedule against minor league and semi-pro teams. Each player earns $20,000 for roughly 4 months' work. And in every single case, it is markedly different than how they used to earn a living.
I was a deputy district attorney in Los Angeles County.
I worked at UPS as a loader.
Before you were a professional baseball player.
God, I love the way that sounds.
What sound?
When someone calls me a professional baseball player, I love that.
Yeah, you're a professional baseball player.
I know, isn't that cool?
Baseball wasn't always so cool for Croteau. In college, she played on the men's team.
I went through a lot of hell to play, which is stupid because it's just a game. A lot of prank calls, a lot of notes, a lot of verbal harassment from other teams, from fans and stuff when I was out there.
Now the hardest thing is looking around the diamond and seeing 8 other women. That, and dealing with the worldwide curiosity.
48人の参加で始まったこのキャンプ。
Baseball cards. Just the general level of interest.
There were 6,800 people at the game Saturday night.
Against the Memphis
Against
Chicks.
the Memphis Chicks, which is not their usual number.
Last year, in fact, Memphis averaged only half of that number, 3,500 fans per game.
I still can't believe I'm getting paid to do this.
It used to be the worst thing you could possibly say is that a ball player throws like a girl. But as the silver bullets fire onto the scene, the criticism of the past could well turn into the compliment of the future. Reporting from Knoxville, I'm Jimmy Roberts, ESPN.
All right, pretty good arms on them, wouldn't you say? When Sunday Sports Day continues, hit by pitch often results in charge the mound. Whatever happened to the days of Ron Hunt and never even rubbing the bruise on the way to first base? Also ahead, we'll look back at Ayrton Senna, the great driver who died a week ago today.
Polaroid asked me, Sinbad needs supermodels to demonstrate the sleek, stylish Captiva camera. It holds the pictures inside the camera's special pocket till you take them out and put them in your pocket. My pocket. The Polaroid Captiva.
It's morning in Detroit, and Ford designers are working on a concept car. In Brazil, a class of engineers studies a new engine. In England, a Ford-powered car drives to victory. In Australia, a Ford returns from an endurance run. And back in America, the Lincoln Mark 8 gains yet another admirer. This is Ford, a world of 325,000 people in 30 countries, where the pursuit of quality never stops.
You guys obviously have time in your hands. You ever thought about why Duracell batteries last so long?
It's the great color. It's the copper color.
Just you mean just the sheer aesthetics of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It could be a large amount
of research and
development.
Duracell. No other battery lasts longer.
My Sports Center highlight goes like this. She hits a monster slap shot, but I catch it behind my back, Frisbee style. And everyone's so stunned, I start skating. My coach is yelling, go. Bob leaves giving me directions, but I'm the amazing skating goalie. And I score the winning goal. Wow. Which gets me a dance with Ty Babylonia. Yeah, that's my Sports Center highlight.
It was a week of many comings and goings spanning the sports world. A fine time was had by those judged to be naughty. An MVP candidate got sent on summer vacation. A coach went through a more permanent type of passage. Craig Kilborn now has the storylines and transactions which transpired.
The NBA said goodbye to a few boxers disguised as ball players. Several fines were handed down after this Heat-Hawks melee last Saturday night. Fines total $125,000. On Wednesday, the Washington Bullets said hello to new head coach Jim Lynam, reuniting the former Philadelphia 76ers GM with Bullets GM Johnny Nash. NBA Rookie of the Year, you ask? Hello, O. Weber. Chris edged out Anthony Hardaway in the closest vote since 1981. Weber led all rookies in rebounding and field goal percentage. Au revoir, Quinn Buckner. The Dallas Mavericks made it official, ending speculation by firing their first-year head coach on Tuesday. The Mavs finished with the worst record in the NBA, and owner Donald Carter felt that change was necessary.
I knew we had a bunch of bridges that got burned early, and I was looking to see if I could find enough timbers to repair them. We should have smelled the wood burning, and we should have done something sooner so that we did not have to have this action today.
Oh, the big dog said adios to the college ranks and hola to the pros. Glenn Robinson adds his name to an already impressive list of underclassmen. But Robinson is considered the class of this class and is expected to be the #1 pick overall. In the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals extended greetings as well as their bank account. Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson became the highest paid player in club history on Thursday. Wilkinson signs a 6-year deal worth $14.4 million, including a $5 million signing bonus. I got you, babe. Steve Bono was acquired on Monday by the Kansas City Chiefs. Bono signs a 2-year deal worth a reported $2.5 million and will share in the quarterbacking duties with Joe Montana. The Cowboys said howdy to Rodney Peete this week. The Super Bowl champ signed the former Lions QB to back up Troy Aikman. Lennox Lewis sent his regards to 4th-ranked contender Phil Jackson on Friday, successfully defending his WBC heavyweight title in Atlantic City on Friday night. Finally, we bid adieu to Michael Jordan, who continues his assault on Double-A pitching. Michael, a 2-for-5 night versus Huntsville on Friday.
The image of the Formula One race driver is that of a swashbuckling egomaniac, a handsome, champagne-spraying millionaire with lead in his foot, little conscience in his head, and little fear in his heart. What happened a week ago today served to remind us all that behind the image, the glamour, and the beautiful machines are men of real fear and fragile flesh. Senna was buried in Brazil on Thursday in a ceremony which had the attention of the entire nation. He was remembered as a driver whose superb feel for his car's capabilities were probably better compared to art than to sport. Even Senna's most bitter rivals paid their respects to the man who won nearly twice as many poles as anyone else and was second on the all-time wins list. Ayrton Senna was 34 and divorced. He had no children. Coming up next on Sunday Sports Day, we check the ballparks to bring you up to date on all of last night's scores, and we examine the brawling nature of the national pastime. You can ditch the hockey jokes right about now. It's baseball that is in danger of being laughed at now.
Peerless Faucet didn't come up with the idea for a spout long and high enough to reach over and into large objects. We merely adapted it for the kitchen. High-rise faucet designs by Peerless. Get more out of your faucet than just water.
Andre, say cheese.
Is this dull or what?
Rebel! You gotta take your best shot and show 'em what you got.
Express yourself.
The all-new Rebel X from Canon.
As your engine revs higher, the oil inside creates a hydrodynamic wedge, a protective layer that builds up and keeps engine parts separated. But as your oil's viscosity breaks down, so can the wedge. That's why Castrol GTX provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. Because if your viscosity breaks down, what's next? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars. Try Castrol Super Clean for tough, greasy jobs. If it won't come clean with Super Clean, it won't come clean.
I think people really are deceived by how well Stefan moves. He's incredibly fast. Now, if you can get Michael talking a little German out there on the court, you're in pretty good shape.
The German Open today at 1:30 on ESPN.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly. And brought to you in part by MCI, the long-distance phone company that brings you friends and family. And by Payne Weber. We believe our most important investment is an investment in relationships.
Let's check some of the other results from the majors, beginning with the National League. Considering how few current Major League players know the history of their game, It's hard to imagine that the reason for all the mound charging incidents is an image of Tony Conigliaro sprawled in the dirt after getting beaned by Jack Hamilton in 1967. Whatever the reason, batters are as belligerent as ever after getting plunked. Is it that these big boys just can't take their lumps? Bob Lee follows the path to trouble.
Eric Anthony knew the way to the mound. He had been there before. But like so many other outbursts, it made no sense. Paul Quantrill had just walked Anthony, and Quantrill was an emergency reliever who was wild with his fifth pitch. Still, Anthony charged the mound, as he did last year against Randy Tomlin, sparking another brawl. 7 times this season, benches have cleared over close pitching. The fact is, more batters are being hit. The American League, where pitchers don't bat and where more offense may mean more retaliation, the American League leads the way, but both leagues are on a definite uptrend in the 1990s. It used to be understood. Pitchers would come inside to keep hitters honest. Getting plunked was part of the game. When did that code break down?
In the last 4 or 5 years, as hitters more and more have taken this macho thing that I'm going to show somebody, it's a big thing to me, you can't do anything to me, I'm going to show you. For an example of how it's done right, a couple of weeks ago in Anaheim, Mark Leiter drilled Mo Vaughn. Next inning, up comes the Angels' best hitter, Chili Davis. Roger Clemens drilled him right in the back. No problem. No, Chili Davis didn't say anything. The Angels didn't say anything. They just walked down. Clemens did it right.
Pedro Martinez, high and tight pitching, sparked 2 brawls this year. Late in what was then a perfect game, Reggie Sanders came at Martinez. 2 weeks later, Derek Bell did the same thing. Tuesday night, Martinez practiced his tight pitching, using a dummy as a stand-in for the batter. Martinez has only walked 8 batters all season, but he has hit 6. Some pitchers can shave the inside corner and make their point without hitting a batter. More and more, though, pitchers cannot.
Andy Carter of the Phillies, scared to death, he went out and drilled 2 Padres, not because he was trying to hit anybody, as he, of course, got thrown out of the game, but simply because he didn't have control. It's just a lack of understanding. We have too many double-A pitchers now pitching in the big leagues.
Some teams may be perceived as bringing agendas to the ballpark. The Mariners and the Brewers have had 2 bad brawls in recent years. The ugliest fight of last year was the Mariners and Orioles, leading to 8 ejections and 7 suspensions. Seattle is consistently among the league leaders in batters hit, leading the league in 92 and 93. Montreal has a similar history with hit batsmen through the 90s in the National League. Applying NHL rules to the Boston brawl, the first 2 players out of the dugouts would have been automatically ejected and then suspended 10 and 5 games respectively. Butch Hobson and Lou Piniella automatically would have been ejected, suspended, and fined and then put on 3 years probation. But baseball has limited fining power and subjective suspensions from league presidents.
Have a commissioner sit down, as Bud Seliger's going to have to get the 2 league presidents, the umpiring supervisors, about 4 or 5 umpires, 4 or 5 players from the Players Association, and Don Fear, sit down for 1 day. I don't care if nobody goes to work for this day. Sit down for 1 day and work out some solutions.
Teeth in the rules may be one answer. Hitters who master the best retaliation, another. When Scott Erickson's spring training pitch broke Joe Carter's finger, Carter was angry.
Maybe something needs to be said, because I think a lot of this stuff would be alleviated if the pitchers hit, because I guarantee you a lot of guys would not be going down like they are.
In his next at-bat against Erickson, Carter exacted the ultimate hitter's revenge. This ageless battle for respect and territory was played for laughs by Randy Johnson and John Kruk in last year's All-Star game. But beneath it all lies the fear of a debilitating beanball against the macho and the posturing that may be scarring the summer game.
Baseball, basketball, hockey, all violent these days. But when Washington's Dale Hunter knocked the Islanders' Pierre Turgeon out of the playoffs a year ago, he earned a 21-game suspension. For his most recent contributions to this brutish basketball season, San Antonio's Dennis Rodman, ejected 6 times in his first San Antonio year, got a 1-game suspension last week. Did Rodman get off easy? That's the subject of our face-off today between those word warriors, Mike Lupica of Newsday and Mitch Albom of the Detroit Free Press. And Albom leads off.
Well, Mike, I know that in New York, sticking your knee out and knocking somebody down is just another way to get a good place in line at a restaurant.
Sure, Haley.
But it shouldn't be allowed in the NBA, particularly with a history like Dennis Rodman. One game is not teaching Dennis anything, and it's not teaching the NBA anything. He'll be back for more next year.
I'm in the Bob Ryan chair, and I feel good about it. The worm has turned, hasn't it? I mean, when Rodman was with the Detroit Pistons, it was like he was a member of the Fighting 69th. Now we got to give him life. Hey, listen, I'm not going to sit here and defend this guy. What he did was lousy. The hit on Chambers is one of the worst things I've ever seen. But the comparison with Hunter doesn't hold because that basically happened after the Capitals-Islanders series was over. You can't suspend a guy for life because of something that happened that they didn't even call a personal foul on in the game.
But I'm not saying you have to suspend him for life. But Rod Thorne has a history in the NBA of judging the crime based on the person involved, not just the crime. That's how the Pistons were always getting fined every time they looked at somebody because they had a history. Dennis Rodman has a history 6 times. And this is a kind of guy, if you just give him 1-game suspension, he'll come right back and say, good, I'll do it again.
But look at a 1-game suspension in the middle of a 5-game series. That, you know, who knows what would have happened?
Not enough.
Yeah,
Nobody knows.
Who knows what would have happened, but it may have cost the Spurs the season, and that's a hell of a lot, Mitch.
Okay, and Rod Thorne said yesterday, Rod Thorne from the NBA said that in the 60s, the game was even rougher. It's hard to believe. Back to you, Jack.
When we continue, Mike Tyson's bitter comments from behind bars while serving time on a rape conviction.
Laws mean nothing. You give me the currency of a country and you can make all the rules in the world. And that's all that matters. Who's in control?
They speak it in England, France, and Germany. It sounds the same in the U.S. and Mexico as it does in Hong Kong and Tokyo. It's the international language of business. And wherever it's spoken, Delta Airlines can put you right in the middle of the conversation. And then we'll bring you back to that place where you don't have to say a word to be understood. Delta Airlines.
Hi, my name is Natalie Neesner with MCI, and this is Nancy Beard, one of our MCI customers. Nancy, why did you choose MCI?
I was with AT&T, and I made the switch for the savings. It makes a big difference, and I get top-notch service.
Nancy, tell us, are you saving with MCI?
Yes, my total savings with MCI versus AT&T's Reach Out America comes to $100 per year.
She's a thrift shopper. She told me that. She shops for bargains.
I'm saving money, and I'm getting care.
So give us a call, and like Nancy, find out how much you can save by switching from AT&T to MCI.
So you're really giving all of this up?
Who knows what's right? All I know is how I feel. And I'm feeling I missed enough of Jenny's life already. I don't want to miss any more.
You guys going to be okay on one salary?
Actually, our broker at Payne Weber made it a little easier. When she heard I was pregnant, she got us to start investing long term to give us more options down the road.
How'd she know you were thinking about all this back then?
I'm not sure I was. Until she asked.
Well, no, I haven't actually seen him yet, but Norma says he's a whole lot of man. And you know how I like those big athletic types. Girl, this could be the one. Wish me luck.
If Saturday nights out are what you expected,
I'm your date.
Why not stay in with HBO Saturday Nights? It's a new movie never seen before on HBO. Every Saturday night, 52 Saturday nights a year, guaranteed.
Want a little donut?
I'll get back to you.
HBO Saturday Nights, hey.
The day after he became champ, Michael Moore was making plans to go back to Detroit to serve the community as RoboCop. Say what? Could it be that defending the title against Bo or Lewis seemed about as challenging as fighting Donny Osmond or that guy from the Partridge Family? Or does he just want to get out of boxing quick before the other Mike gets out of the slammer? I would. After all, Tyson's a new man. He's a thinking man's boxer. And that's going to make at least one guy lose his hair. Because now Tyson can add and subtract his own money. And if that's not enough, he's already starting to make new friends, which makes me wonder, is he planning to run for president?
Famous Famous felons make great talk TV. Former national champion skater Tanya Harding got on the tube to talk about being abused by her former husband while serving her debt to society for conspiring to hinder an investigation. And former boxing champion Mike Tyson made a national appearance this week while serving out his rape sentence.
I love fighting. It's not that I can't do anything else. It's just that fighting is all I wanted to ever do. I never wanted to do anything else. I cheer for myself 100 million times a day in my mind. To me, I'm my biggest fan. There's nothing in the world better than me. I don't expect anybody who put me in prison, if someone puts me in here, and the more polite I am to them and the kindness, the more I lay back, that's not going to make them take their foot off their neck. That's going to make you want to crush them more. If you're in a fight with somebody and you hurt them, the objective of the fight is not to back off and let them recoup. The objective is to smash into oblivion. Laws mean nothing. You give me the currency of a country and you can make all the rules in the world. And that's all that matters. Who's in control? When you say the fact is something that's evidence. But you go beyond the facts and what makes it evidence. What makes it evidence that I'm in here is bullshenanigans. I should not be in here.
Was he ever abusive?
Yes.
In what way?
Physically and mentally.
Wow. When would he get abusive?
Well, he was very, demanding, and I don't know, if he drank, and he drank a lot, with friends and stuff like that, then he would become abusive.
Physically hitting you?
Yes.
Bruising you?
Yes.
Cutting you?
Yes.
Making you bleed?
Yes.
Later on this Sunday Sports Day, we'll chat with Hall of Fame coach Jack Ramsey for his insight about the beginning and the end. We'll see what he thinks about Larry Brown's advancing Indiana Pacers starting round 2. And coming up next, what happened in Seattle? We'll have all summer to think about it, and then some. A season of great expectations ends in ashes in the first round. That story in a minute.
If you're a sports fan, there's one thing you don't want to do. Wait. You don't want to wait for the scores, for the scoops, for the commentary, or to talk about what happened and why. So you'll want to know about a whole new way to experience sports. ESPN Net on Prodigy. Imagine sitting down at your computer and getting up-to-the-minute scores on pro and college games, seeing updated stories, standings, and stats before the morning papers, getting insights and exclusives from experts at ESPN, and being able to talk back and forth online with a nationwide network of members who feel as passionate about sports as you do. Now it's all possible. And here's how to join in.
To find out why Prodigy is a sports fan's dream, call this number now. You'll get Prodigy software and a full month's membership, all free.
Prodigy and ESPN Net. Find out why we're the hottest team in sports. You risk nothing by trying, so why wait? Call this number and get live on Prodigy now.
Sports Center now at new times, 6:30 and 11 p.m. weekdays. The world's greatest drivers gear up for the fastest, most prestigious race in the world, the Indy 500. Get daily reports on Indy Live, starting Monday only on ESPN.
In a league in which the best regular season record has meant a lot in recent history, a league in which home court advantage is a tremendous edge, the Seattle Supersonics seemed to have all the pieces in place. Today, they're picking up the pieces. Mark Schwartz is in the shadow of the Space Needle in a city whose fans will be getting the needle for quite a while.
They won an NBA best 63 games. Were 37-4 at home. They talk tough. They talk trash. They even talk title. But when it counted the most, the Seattle Supersonics delivered the least.
This loss hurts me more than any loss I've ever had in my life, in my whole basketball career.
Because it was Denver?
Not because it was Denver, it's because we lost in the first round.
The worst. I mean, it can't get any worse than this to all of a sudden, tomorrow you don't have anything to do. And it's May, I mean, it's... No more calm through, man.
Seattle is the first #1 seed ever to be ousted by a #8. And the Nuggets were the most unlikely of #8s. It wasn't like the Laker team of last year that scared the Suns with championship-proven veterans like Worthy and Scott. These guys had virtually no playoff experience, and on this day were led by Robert Pack and Brian Williams.
I'm sure no bookie, no better, no armchair quarterback, no 76-year-old grandmother in a nursing home sipping Metamucil thought we could come in here and do this.
I don't feel probably as bad as I should. Like I said, I'm just more or less, I'm extremely disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself, you know, some of the things I think I could have done out there, you know, I mean, to possibly make the game differently. It's just a big shock to us. I mean, everybody predicted us to be in the championship and even win it, and now we're out in the first round.
But not everyone believed in Seattle. Bill Walton wondered if they could win big games on the road. And some questioned whether George Karl was dividing minutes among too many players.
We've been on that high horse for a long time, you know, and we've always been had to answer people like Bill Walton. We've always had to do this and that, you know, and when people say it to us all the time, I mean, it's, you know, it's distracting, you know. I mean, it's like a slap in your face.
You guys have to do a lot of soul searching now.
Not really. It ain't. I mean, there's worse things happening in the world. I mean, we don't have to go that deep to soul search. I don't think it's that crucial.
Kendall Gill and Detlef Schrempf were supposed to be the final pieces in Seattle's championship puzzle, and the Sonics were the best there is for the first 6 months. They still have lots to learn about being the best over the final 6 weeks. In Seattle, I'm Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
When we return, we'll look at the basket-crashing New York Knicks, who are getting ready for round 2 today. Is this the year they finally beat the Bulls? Jack Ramsey joins us in a minute.
When it comes to paint, we're making a name for ourselves because we make our own and guarantee its quality. That's Ace, the name to know for paint.
Polaroid asked me, Sinbad, and these supermodels to demonstrate the sleek, stylish Captiva camera. It holds the pictures inside the camera's special pocket till you take them out and put them in your pocket. My pocket. The Polaroid Captiva.
Staying ahead of the game. It's what we all strive to do. Whether we're building our lives, building our futures, or building trucks. At Ford, staying ahead means the most powerful diesel pickup engine ever. The new Power Stroke Turbo Diesel. It means giving you the comfort of a new standard airbag. And it means realizing it's the hard work that offers the sweetest rewards. Ford F-Series, the best never rest.
I've seen paintings, I've seen sculptures, I've read books, I've seen plays. I've read books about plays and seen plays about books. I've looked at mountains, sunsets, oceans. I've looked at the big blue sky on a very clear day. And none of it is as beautiful as this.
It's that big time of year in the game in which a guy who goes 6'2" is considered small. Karl Ravech looks back at a week in the NBA playoffs, a week in which everyone looked up at an awesome performance put up by Charles Barkley.
Up to Marley. Marley's going to push it up, take it to the hoop too hard. Rebound, Barkley! Oh, brother, Sir Charles! Back to Barkley. Fake to three. Wants to shoot it again. Got it! Shazam!
It was amazing, you know what I mean? I was like, that's a bad shot. Went in.
Indeed, Charles Barkley's 38 first-half points, a playoff record, and 56 overall swept Phoenix past the Warriors into round 2.
They said I needed one more point to set up break a record. I'm like, man, I don't care about no records. I'm trying to win.
3 and out, also the scenario for Orlando. Reggie Miller's point total in Game 3 matching his uniform number. The Pacers race into the second round for the first time in franchise history. Meanwhile, Tuesday, as the mailman and company were walloping the Spurs, the Worm had time on his hands, sitting out his one-game suspension by sitting down in a limo with who else? The Material Girl. 2 nights later, Madonna was inside the Delta Center, but the mailman again delivered, sending the Worm and the Spurs and Madonna into the offseason. Following last Saturday's basket brawls, the refs at MSG Sunday were quick with their whistles. When New York's Patrick Ewing got a second tee in the second quarter for a run-in with Derek Coleman, he got the boot.
I didn't do anything that should get another technical on. I didn't do anything. He's the one who created all the contact.
The Knicks still prevailed behind Charles Oakley's 25 points. New Jersey did get in the win column on Wednesday. Chris Morris's 2 free throws with 1.5 left in OT, lifting the Nets to a 1-point win. The Knicks got it together again in Game 4. Ewing's 27 second-half points sends Jersey packing and Pat beckoning for the Bulls. The Blazers' bubble also burst in their Game 4. Hakeem Olajuwon carrying the Rockets to a second-round date with Phoenix.
Jack Ramsey joins us now. And Jack, it's been a year full of surprises, but the most surprised people out there may be the travel agents fielding calls from the Seattle Supersonics, making vacation plans already.
Well, when I talked to George Karl during the season, Jack, he told me that the Sonics play good defense every night, and if they rebound and move the ball on offense, they're an excellent team and can win it all. The rebounding really killed them, but it's kind of inherent in their defense. When they scramble as much as they do, they frequently leave the defensive board exposed, and Denver had 21 offensive rebounds. Heroes galore for Denver. Start with Brian Williams, who got to the offensive glass himself 6 times, and you're going to see him here rebounding a Rodney Rogers miss and with a 2-hand stuffer getting it home. Then there was Pack, who got penetrations into that vaunted Seattle defense, this time for a finger roll score. And how about LaFonso Ellis making key shots time and again down the stretch? There's one turnaround jumper. Here comes another right-in-your-face defender. And then the third in overtime, a 3-point play by Ellis that got Denver to its final lead, and they held on. But the key guy, Mutombo, block of the shot here. Another look at the same play. Mutombo, the defensive stopper, speaks 5 languages and knows how to say, get that shot out of here in every one of them.
Yeah, how do you say in your face in one of those languages? So if Denver, number 8, can knock off a number 1, perhaps all it counts is who's hot in the NBA. Indiana, they've won 11 straight games overall. Are they the best club in the NBA right now?
Well, they're playing very well. Larry Brown has done a terrific job of getting his defense in order. The Pacers are another team that primed their game with its defense, and the job they did in the previous series against Shaquille O'Neal, double-teaming him at the post, where Shaq had a hard time, number 1, getting the ball to the basket himself. Look at it. There's a good, firm double team. O'Neal's forced to throw it out. Penny Hardaway for a 3-point shot that's off the mark, and the Pacers with the rebound. But Reggie Miller, I don't think there's a bigger shot taker from distance in the NBA than Reggie Miller. Reggie is a clutch player. He has great control of his distance shot, and the combination of defense and enough offense to make his team win with Miller, the key guy, makes Indiana very tough.
Well, you talk about the Pacers' offense. The Knicks win with defense, and they did an awful nice job on Kenny Anderson in the first round.
Well, the defense is the key for the Knicks, has been all the time. The previous series, they shut down Kenny Anderson entirely. He was the key. I look for the same kind of New York defense against the Bulls.
All right, Jack Ramsey, thanks for joining us. We look forward to chatting with you a little bit later on Sunday Sports Day. Stay with us. As we wrap up this hour, we look at Darryl Strawberry's situation. He's just out of rehab for substance abuse. How did he get in trouble in the first place?
Strawberry failed Darryl Strawberry. I don't think that you can't blame anybody else for your own mistakes.
I think we have a little problem here.
Joey has to come with us on vacation.
Joey's going on vacation with his own family.
I'm not leaving without Joey.
They have fantastic pools at this hotel.
I do everything with Joey.
Well, they have a camp?
Just for kids.
A huge water slide. Ginormous water slide.
Dear Joey, sorry you couldn't be here.
Who'd have thought we'd make such a big splash with everyone?
I'm not going home without Max.
We've thought of everything at the Hyatt Regency Scottsdale.
I think people really are deceived by how well Stefan moves. He's incredibly fast. Now, if you can get Michael talking a little German out there on the court, you're in pretty good shape.
The German Open today at 1:30 on ESPN.
They speak it in England, France, and Germany. It sounds the same in the U.S. and Mexico as it does in Hong Kong and Tokyo. It's the international language of business. And wherever it's spoken, Delta Airlines can put you right in the middle of the conversation. And then we'll bring you back to that place where you don't have to say a word to be understood. Delta Airlines.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly.
On Wednesday, Darryl Strawberry got out of a treatment center where he had been taking treatment for drug abuse. Mark Schwartz chronicles the one-time #1 pick who might not pick baseball if he had it to do all over again.
If I knew baseball was going to be like this, I would have never wanted to do it.
When Darryl Strawberry's life and career slid ever closer to the abyss, could anyone have helped stop the slide? Ronnie Strawberry said his younger brother Darryl spoke about suicide as much as 2 years ago. And while the public marveled at the picture swing and laser-quick bat, Ronnie Strawberry saw a young man who was overmatched in the game of life.
That's what Darryl's whole career was. A young kid out of high school with less than a college education, being pulled every which way until he's ready to commit suicide.
Darryl is someone who brought with him a lot of emotional immaturity and a disease of alcoholism and drug abuse. And coupled with the free time, the availability, and the money to be able to indulge in these types of substances, he is very vulnerable. There's a lot of things that's thrown at you because of your status of being a great baseball player, and you have a tendency of falling into them, and I think that's what happened to myself and probably a Canseco.
I wish I could help him. I don't know how. You know, I just don't know what the answer is in Darryl's case.
Roger Young Ward signed Strawberry. He says players right out of high school are greater social risks than their college-educated counterparts. But major league organizations don't trust college baseball to develop extraordinary prospects like Strawberry.
We're taking the special cases, somewhat like a Juilliard or a Oxford, where you're getting the unusually exceptional guy that is going to be there in a hurry and he's going to be a star, and we're afraid to let somebody else handle star potential.
Young Ward knew the background: broken home, alcoholic father. Yet he believed the Mets could offer Strawberry more than a college could.
I believe there's more pressure out here in college baseball than we provide in the minor leagues.
How do you figure?
Because the coaches are more demanding, the student body, the press. We put them in a small town, let them play. We let them survive, where we protect them. We have stronger off-the-field regulations.
Ronnie Strawberry sees it differently.
You put a high school kid right out of high school under all this pressure and never stressed to go back and continue educating yourself. Well, where is he going to go? All he can do is bounce off a wall, bang, bang, bang.
They've been driving an automobile for 2 years, and it's going to be 3 years before they can buy some alcohol. And they're instantly given celebrity status, money that the average person will never see in a lifetime in a single paycheck, and they're not prepared to deal with it. Young players become superstars early. I don't think today can be able to handle it without any counseling because it's too much to handle.
All major league teams have employee assistance programs, and some, like the Dodgers, even employ a team psychiatrist. The Dodgers say if Strawberry had requested help, it was available.
It's not something that we haven't tried to confront with the team, the medical staff, counselors. Ultimately, as I see it, it's up to the individual to acknowledge that, yes, there is a problem.
The Dodgers confronted Strawberry about drug use last year after he missed meetings and was late for games. he denied it.
Would you say you pretty much knew what Daryl's absence was related to even before everyone else did?
Yes, but you couldn't do anything about it. First of all, you cannot test them.
If someone had telephoned our office a long time ago and said, here are the facts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, can somebody go and talk to him? Maybe they could have.
I think Darryl Strawberry failed Darryl Strawberry. I don't think that you can't blame anybody else for your own mistakes.
To what extent is Darryl himself to blame for what's happened to Darryl?
He's 100% to blame. People are responsible for their own lives. And that's the first thing that he's going to be learning in rehabilitation.
In Los Angeles, I'm Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
Next up on ESPN, the sports reporters